Lane quick tip, how to deal with an insurance company that says they're going to drop you if you rent your car on Turo, because that's commercial exposure. This is how you deal with it. I'm going to give you tactic and strategy, people. This video was coined and made in regards to an awesome comment I received today from a Miss Iris Herbert. Thank you so much for the comment. I'm going to dive right into this and elaborate this in a Lane quick tip fashion. Let's do this. So the first thing you guys got to do to make sure this doesn't happen to you is, first and foremost, if you have a personal insurance policy or you get a personal insurance policy, let them know, be honest, be transparent, and admit. Do not omit and not tell them information. Always admit everything you're doing. Tell them and be completely transparent and say, hey, look, I'm going to rent my car that's currently covered under a personal policy. I understand that. But I have a Turo plan that's going to cover this commercial exposure while the car's rented on a Turo platform. So for example, and you want to show them the Turo 60 plan, the Turo 75 plan, the Turo 80 plan, the Turo 85 plan, and Turo 90 plan. You want to show them this and show this to your insurance agent and the insurance company, or both, or one or the other, but you got to report it to them. Let them know, be honest. And the reason why is so they don't abruptly cancel or drop you or get rid of your policy abruptly. That's terrible. So you want to let them know, because a lot of insurance companies just aren't used to this type of exposure. They don't really know to call this an orange or an apple. Like, what is it? Is it a peach? Is it an orange? What is this? They don't know. So it's your job to basically be the field reporter and report about what Turo is and give them the policies, tell them and share what the Turo plan is, and show them and convince them and share that, hey, look, don't worry. Yes, my personal vehicle is covered by my personal insurance company, whichever company that is. But as soon as I rent the car out or share the car, it becomes the covered by my Turo plan that covers this commercial exposure. The same is true vice versa. Think about it. If you are driving a car personally, like say to the beach for fun or hanging out with friends, you get in an accident for some reason, your Turo plan is not going to cover that because that's a personal exposure. The same is true for your personal insurance. Your personal insurance, typically speaking, not always, but typically speaking, does not cover commercial exposure. Typically, there are some policies that are personal that do cover Uber, Lyft, or even car sharing. Very rare, but they do exist. I have seen a few, but for the most part, from my experience and expertise and opinion, and this is only my opinion, I'm just your YouTube neighbor. I'm not your insurance agent. I'm not your tax advisor. I'm not your attorney. Do your own due diligence. It's your responsibility, not mine. But from my experience and my personal opinion, I mostly see that most insurance companies, especially when you read their policy terms and conditions, which you should definitely do online, or if you have the actual paper of it, or if you have it online, Control F and put rideshare or car share or renting or taxi, something of that sort, and wording, so you can find that verbiage, and that verbiage will actually entail that, hey, right now, if you rent your car out, we do not cover this, but when it comes back, it's covered. Usually there's some type of wording there, but it does change. There's so many different companies, so many different verbiage. Don't just take my word for it. Read your own policy terms and conditions, but that's how you get around this, so you can actually have wording and verbiage, because oftentimes insurance companies don't even know their own contracts sometimes. I have found so many ways and things that insurance companies don't know, and I actually have to educate them myself. So I am an insurance agent. I've been an insurance agent for over 8 years and licensed for over 8 years, and I'm real estate licensed. So there's a lot. I've even educated the companies I'm appointed with, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Yes, they're big time insurance companies, but sometimes they just don't know. Or we're the field reporters. So I let them know, and I found so many different things where I'm like, no, like, this is possible. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, it's your policy though. They just don't know. It's written by an attorney. Oftentimes, a lot of wording and just a lot going on. A lot of times they don't revisit it. And not saying insurance companies, I'm saying just the personnel and the reps sometimes don't know the policy as well as you might know if you study it. And even the agents sometimes don't know. There's oftentimes where I talk to agents where I have to let them know, no, this is covered, or this isn't covered. This says it right in the policy. They just don't know. So they're not trying to not cover you. Sometimes they might cut you off because maybe the agent doesn't understand. Maybe they elaborate in the wrong direction on your behalf, or sometimes the insurance company or the rep handling just doesn't know how to deal with this. So it's your job to make them understand. Do your homework. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. We're not perfect. Do your homework. Make sure your policy says, hey, this commercial exposure is covered, and if it's not covered, when does it start and when does it finish? Oftentimes, from the contracts I've read, and it's not all true, and it's not all absolute, but from the contracts I've read, most times it says something along the lines, and I'm going to paraphrase. It says, hey, as soon as you rent, for example, on Uber or Lyft, or rent your car out or taxi or earn money as a commercial exposure, this personal policy does not cover this. But once that commercial exposure ends, this personal coverage gets implemented again. Something of that sort or nature or verbiage is usually what's stated, but that's not always true. You read your own terms and conditions, just giving an example, but that's what you want to find. Find where it says, hey, basically like we don't cover this, but they're not necessarily cutting you off. They're just letting you know that, hey, we don't cover this. So that's your job. And if insurance company just cuts you off, you just gotta find another insurance company that will take you. And that's just what it is. And there's a lot of companies out there that will take you. But if they say they're gonna drop you, that's your first thing to share proof and say, hey, where does it say here that you guys can drop me? And then go back and forth and say, hey, look, here's the Turo plan, so you don't have to worry about me using this as a personal exposure. And that's about it, people. Like, subscribe, share. Layn quick tip. Thank you so much, Miss Iris Herbert. Have a good day. Like, subscribe, share. Hope you like the content. Conrad out. Peace.